Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to wherever you are in this ever-expanding now moment. Welcome to the Ascending Starseeds chat with my co-host, Shemenka Natalie Alea.
Hello, everybody.
Myself, Bridget Rao. And today we are missing White Light Ninja Alexa Serrano, but she will be joining us again. And we also have a special guest star, Rocking Larry Lockin.
Hey, everybody.
We're going to be talking about the Blu-rays today, all about the characteristics, what it's... Oh. Something's going on with the mics.
Is it me? I'm trying to mute my mic. Sorry.
I think you muted Larry.
No, I muted Larry. My higher self muted Larry. No, go ahead.
Okay, we're going to be talking about the Blu-rays today. We're going to talk about our characteristics, our own past life journeys, healing, all types of stuff to do with that, and I'm sure we're going to be kind of expanding out from that topic as well. Who wanted to start today? Did you want to start, Larry, about your experiences as a Blu-ray?
You know, I had planned on just having Natalie go with it and flow, but my experience as a Blu-ray, basically, you know, I started the Blu-ray Soul and Guidance page. I really resonate with the Blu-ray incarnation. The way I look at it, the Blu-rays basically incarnated, give or take a year or two either way, from about 1964 through the end of 1976. Of course, there are souls with Blu-ray traits that are born a few years before or after that, but I really just look at Blu-rays as kind of a second wave of the three waves that are coming in, that have come in. We're kind of like a bridge between the first wave of starseeds that were born in the 50s and late 40s and the ones that started coming in the into the 80s, like the Indigos, and then the totally awakened kids that were born in the 90s. It's just... It really resonates with me because, you know, I had wondered what was wrong with me growing up, you know, why people would look at me funny or just look at me strangely. And sometimes I think that maybe it was a problem with me, but it was just my Blu-ray antenna energy that they were picking up on, and I didn't realize it till later on. Some of the other, you know, one of the things about the Blu-rays is versus the Indigos, they're not quite as refined as the Indigos, but they tend to have more life experiences than some of the Indigos do in 3D. More of a problem early on, a lot of them with substance abuse, with more of a longing for home, not quite as connected as the Indigos. But let me just say this, though. I really look at the Blu-rays as divided into two spectrums. You have kind of the elder Blu-rays, what I'd like to say, the ones that were born from about 1964 through about the middle part of 1971, give or take, and then from 71 to the end of 76, it's kind of the younger brother-sister version of the Blu-rays. Like, the only way I could really describe it is, like, Natalie really fits to me, like, because she's, you know, I'm not trying to give away her age or anything, but, you know, being born, I think, 1964, am I right,
65.
Natalie?
65.
65.
I'm 50.
65.
Yeah.
But
Years old Blu-ray. Yeah.
But I know, Bridget, it's something that you know, that it's really fascinates you too, and I know that you're quite a bit younger than the rest of us, so it just goes to show you that people from other generations too have some of the Blu-ray tendencies. I hate to box it into a year or a decade, but, you know, that's just from kind of my research and what I've experienced with the Blu-rays.
Yeah, like I was...
What about you, Natalie?
Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, Blu-ray. I only connected with being a Blu-ray. I think actually, Larry, it was you that connected me to the Blu-ray. I think it was talking with you, and then I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, that's me." Yeah. So many of the traits, the connection with water, the photosensitivity. I find light, like I wear sunglasses even when it's like, you know, cloudy. It's like my eyes are so sensitive to light. And maybe that's why we can see the orbs and the other stuff too. I don't know. But the nature, connection to nature, here to heal the DNA in our families and stuff like that. It just really all resonated. How about you, Bridget? When did you figure out you were a Blu-ray?
Well, when I started researching stuff, and the most prominent stuff that was available was all about indigos and Pleiadians, and I wanted to dive deeper into information because it resonated, but it didn't resonate completely, and I was still having questions like, is this really me? And I think if it's really you, you'd know. So what I ended up, I think it was that same site you were talking about, the Shekinah, what is it called?
Shekinah Speaks?
Yeah, I think I had eventually found that, and when I was reading all of that stuff, it totally resonated, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. But I never said it to anybody. When I started going to Blue Angel Healing for Reiki 1, I walked in the door, and Jody was like, she told me I was a Blu-ray. I think one night I was having a conversation, like, we were chatting on the comments in the Pleiadian group, and Larry was like, oh, you're a Blu-ray, and then added me to the page, and it's like you just get confirmation here and there. So that's how I let spirit kind of confirm it for me. Like I had that thing where I'm like, oh, that resonates, that makes sense, but then other outside sources like pushed it in for me. But yeah, I mean, growing up, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. There was drug abuse problems. I'm like the mother for my mom. My dad's never been really like a typical dad. He's been out of life more than he's been in it. Same thing with Larry. Like I always stuck out like a sore thumb in school. Everybody made fun of me. It wasn't until I hit like 14 or 15 that boys were like, oh shit, we're just not such a freak now. But as a kid, I was like, I was the fat kid. I had a short haircut, so I looked like a boy. I spent all my time alone. Even today I was talking with my friend Darnell, who's also Pleiadian, and we found out recently that we both share this common thing. I knew the minute I met her she was, but today we're just discussing how like we were, loners, but with these past shifts that have come up, it's like we're coming out of our shell to kind of spread energy and our talking, like, and every time I talk to another Blu-ray, I get downloads of information. I get like so much exciting information that comes in. So I definitely resonate with that, even though I'm younger. I have an older soul, I guess.
The Blu-rays seem to have a special quality with the downloads. I wonder if it's because we're, I don't want to say so knowledgeable about DNA, but we are, in a way, naturally understand and can heal the DNA. And I just wonder if it's encoded in that we get the downloads.
That would make sense. And when I started doing the Moon Key with you, it was like I was remembering something I already knew.
That's so cool.
And like you got the download of the Lemurian seed crystal last week, which is cool.
Yeah, Larry, I got a seed crystal. She did a journey to Lemuria, and he put a seed crystal in her crown. She talked about it last week, and I could feel it going into my crown. Do you want one? Who wants one? Let's spread them.
I'll be sending them now. It was so cool. But that's what it's like, that connection we have. Like, I feel a really close connection to you. Like, we're almost on the same wavelength. The same thing with Larry and Sif. I mean, whenever I talk to them, whether it be in a group or a chat, it's like we don't have to say too much to have that feeling. And we don't have to be talking every day, all day, to continue that connection with each other. It's like, you can go a few months and then be like, hey, and it's still there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe it. I totally agree with what Bridget says. I feel that vibe with other Blu-rays, right? And I feel like when talking with another Blu-ray, and then if there's a couple of them and we're conversing, I hear what you're saying about the downloads. It's just like the remembering really starts coming to flood in, and the synchronicities are they're just wild. In fact, I do got to say too, last night the second time through, I was listening to the show you guys did last week, and I was, at the time, I was talking, Victoria and I were chatting back and forth, and we were talking about Antarctica and Atlantis and Lemuria and how we really didn't vibe with Antarctica and, with Atlantis, and, kind of made us sick and thought it was creepy, and Lemuria was our thing, and I know Sif agrees with that too. But, and then right as we were saying that, Natalie, part of the show came on where you were talking about, and it's just, we were laughing at the synchronicity of it. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, me and Natalie will be chatting, and we say the same thing to each other, like almost exactly at the exact same time. It was like, done. We already know. It's just really cool when the synchronicity picks up. So, Natalie, what do you think about how Blu-rays heal? Because if we're good with the DNA, I think we kind of have a different healing style, a kind of flow, Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. I'm starting to think that we get the messages from the earth and nature.
Yeah, that makes sense. And
we actually take it in and then use it to inform our DNA. Now be a tree. Now be tree-like.
Well, that's why I love the archetypes so much, and I've been using them when I do like my Reiki clinic stuff. Like I'll be at someone's chakra and I'm calling to that archetype to come in, or even in my meditations, it's like they've totally changed because I don't know what I'm going to say before I say it. And even if I do a meditation at home by myself and I talk to myself, I feel it 10 times stronger than if I were to like listen to like a guided meditation where they're like, okay, now relax and feel your
Yeah.
It's weird. And the people who have been coming to my meditations regularly say that it's like I change. So like your voice changes, you change. And there's one woman who comes all the time. She's like, I know what you're gonna say before you say it. And she's definitely a Blu-ray. She's like my best friend, and she's like, probably born like 30 years before I was ever even thought of. But that's the thing. I've never been friendly with people my own age. I don't know how you guys are because you're part of that older crowd, but I've never resonated with like people my age. It's like my fiance is 13 years older than me. I couldn't deal with a guy my age. I know I couldn't.
I'm kind of funny. I've always had I'm the type that had always a mix of friends, younger and older.
Yeah. How
definitely.
So it's weird because you guys are both from the older generation. You guys, you're open to both. It's like I have younger friends, but I resonate so much stronger with and I've always wanted to be older. Like when I hit 30, my mom's like, you're going to freak out. And I'm like, no, I like getting older. I feel like it's like a sense of wisdom comes in, and it's like, and people look at me, they're like, oh, I thought you were 24. And I'm like, most people get really like a compliment out of that. I don't, because I'm like, do I act like I'm 24? Like,
yeah.
It's weird. Like, always wanted to be an old lady, like, my whole life.
You are an old soul. I'd say that's why. Absolutely.
And I know Alexis feels that way, too. She totally resonates with the old lady stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the crone. There's a strong crone in me.
I'm like, can we just hurry up and get over with this frickin'...
I enjoy aging. I haven't had a freak out yet, and I hit 50, and I still feel good. I still feel really, really good. So it is kind of a state of mind, I think.
How about you, Larry? How do you feel about getting old?
Yeah. Well, physically, sometimes I feel like I'm about 80, but I just turned 40 last month, and I was looking forward to actually turning 40 for some reason. Like psychologically, I was looking forward. I had 3 or 4 buddies of mine that turned 40 earlier this year, and I was like, God, I was like disappointed they beat me to it. Of course, I knew they would. I mean, duh. But yeah, I was looking forward to turning 40, and as far as like the friend thing, I do want to touch on again. When I was younger, I'd say probably 60 to 70% of my friends were older, but the other 30, were around my age or younger too. So I'm kind of like, maybe like in between where, you know, you and Natalie are leaning more maybe towards like Natalie because of the age thing. You really are an enigma being as young as you are and having so many Blu-ray tendencies. Usually, you know, you find maybe somebody who's 3 or 4 years out of the range, but, you know, you're practically, you know, 7 to 10 years out. And so,
yeah, and it is weird because that was one of the things that had made me like question about the Blu-ray, but to you know, and with spirit and information from that, it's like nothing can be put into a little box and tied up neatly. It's like we're all different. And when we try to talk about the different star seeds, it's like, what if your last friggin' incarnation was on Sirius and, you know, the one before that was on Pleiadian? There's more information available to the Pleiadians than there are about the Syrians, so obviously you're going to resonate with the information that's available. I think you need to do soul searching to really figure out where you're from or who you are or what ray you came in on.
yeah, you really do. You know, the only time that I think that that comes invaluable with going on and seeing what traits you have, if you match 12 of the 14 traits of a Syrian or an Arcturian or a Pleiadian that YouTube offers, is like you said, once you do that soul searching and have gone within a little bit, and then, you know, you're familiar with all the energies, then at that point it can be just used as a guide to kind of confirm it for you. But, you know, and I bitched about this a million times on air and in the groups before about people that will come in, and you can always tell in the tone where they'll ask a question, well, how do I know I was a Syrian or a Pleiadian or an Arcturian? And you can picture somebody in Finoki, Oklahoma, wearing a straw hat with a tweed in their mouth going, how do I know I was a Pleiadian? Am I only matched 12 of the 14 signs? And then, you know, but then somebody could ask that same question almost word for word, and just by the energy, right, you'd pick it up that it's somebody that it's worth talking about like that. Like, I like talking about these kind of things with you guys, but too many people get hung up in what star race they're from and what, you know, where they've been, where they're going, where they're, you know,
and many
whatever
people
the hell.
are a mix.
You know.
I mean, just like humans are a mix.
Yeah.
I definitely am a mix.
I'm a big old mutt.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but understand too, though, when you talk about star races, okay, well, that's kind of a separate thing than, say, a Blu-ray, Indigo, Rainbow Child. There's Blu-ray, Indigos, Rainbow Children of all those star race energies.
Right, they can be from any star, can't they?
Yeah, yes, exactly. They're related, but they're not another star race, each of these. They're incarnates from various, you know, star systems, and it could be any of them, and you could have a mix of them. Just by the details, I'd say I'm probably about 75% Blu-ray, and I've got a 25% mix of Rainbow Child in me.
I think I'm a Blu-ray crystal mix, because boy, do I connect. Of course,
there's these kids that were born in 91 to 94, and since then I think they were born with their chakras completely wide open already. You know what I mean? They're conceptual thinkers. They're not left-right decision and life makers. They see it all at once. Of course, they'll never realize they do, because they're very old souls, but very new souls to Earth. A guy wrote a book in the 90s, John White. He wrote a book calling these kids Homo noeticus instead of Homo sapien, these kids that were being born in the 90s. And of course, Cryans talked about it. Barbara Marciniak's talked about it. I mean, there's so much resonance. You know, back then they were talking about it, and of course it came to fruition. These kids now that are in high school and younger and, you know, early 20s, there's no more of this like separation like, okay, you may have in school where, okay, there's the athletes and the jocks, and then you may have like the geek, you know, people that are just brains. There's not that anymore. They're both. These kids are hybrids. They are athletic. 95% of them are athletic and scholastically brilliant. Right? They're both. They could they'd rewrite the encyclopedia. Understand any different, because they're very new to Earth. Most of them have never incarnated here, but maybe a time before, and that's only a few of them. Yet they're most of them are older souls than, you know, even we are as far as in the galaxy goes. I mean, that's just my take on it and what I've come across through my research and, you know, my conscious, you know, my contacts, you know, with the Pleiadians have kind of confirmed for me. So, you know.
Larry, do you have, actually both Larry and Bridget, I want to ask both of you this. One of the things that Blu-rays seem to have a tendency to is sensitivity to food, chemicals, environment, noise, and electricity. And I really do have all of that. Do you guys have that issue?
You cut out a little bit, Natalie. You mentioned something about electricity. What was it?
I'm cutting out. I noticed that my computer is acting up. That Blu-rays tend to have a sensitivity to food, chemicals, environment, electricity.
Yes. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, yeah. Whether it's I don't know, whether it's touching a door, getting shocked easy, maybe, whether it's, you know, messy, your technology messes up on you all the time. And of course that happens to a lot of us that are awakened, but with Blu-rays it really happens all the goddamn time, it seems like.
It does.
I mean, any little kind of an electronic, and we're more in tune to sounds, like when the dishwasher's on, the washing machine's going, the refrigerator, you're really in tune with that. As far as like you know, you pick up these sounds and these buzzes and these zaps, and at night, you know, the sounds and the sounds that are going on, whether for me here, whether it's my contacts coming through, or whether it's the ocean, or whether it's harp, whether it's the earth, the shift, I can tell the difference between all these sounds, right? And there's just, it's a very, you know, we're so in tune to different sounds and
That just cut out.
would play a very important role, and but it's not like a flashy role like an indigo or maybe the first waivers. You know, of course, I'm going off a lot of the Dolores Cannon stuff that I read early on in my awakening, saying that, but it all really resonated with me, and I found it to really all come to fruition. You know, so if, you know, anybody wants to, I would check out Dolores Cannon, which I think most of us all have, as far as the three-wave souls go. And basically, you know, I look at Blu-rays as kind of that second wave, where kind of we've got one foot in kind of the, well, Bridget's so much younger, but like we've kind of got like a foot in that hippie area, yet we didn't quite live it, but we're kind of familiar when we were younger with the music and the you know, the styles of it, but then also with the next generation a little bit. We're more in tune with our kids than any other generation has been, more like them. I mean, you know what I mean? There's not this, we're more like our kids than per se the hippie generation's parents were from World War II. Such a big gap there. But now it's closed in, and it's just, you know, it's just
I definitely, you know, feel that, though my kids like to tell me how uncool I am, but I tell them they're wrong.
Yeah, well, that'll never, you know, that that's one thing kids will probably never stop doing, that right there. But yeah, I mean, if they think you're uncool, they should have grown up with that were adults in the 50s. I mean, they would have really thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Leave it to Bieber and shit and fucking, yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel like all that stuff is right on point too.
And we're lagging again.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm just sorry, guys. I'm going to mute my mic and change my microphone, okay?
Okay. So yeah, I definitely feel I feel all that connection with sensitivity to light and food and stuff like that. Like I was talking about it today. Everything I eat lately, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, good for you or not good for you. It depends on the vibration of it. Like if somebody who prepped it didn't prep it with love, which sounds totally crazy, but that's how it feels to me. It's like, or even like the vibration of an animal that had been killed. If it was like living in, you know, a torturous way, I can't eat it. And I've been shifting away from meat, and I've been shifting away from sugar. I have a stomachache every day, and I too wear the sunglasses. But with the Dolores Cannon stuff, I had looked that up, and I know about the 3 waves, and I think I did resonate with the second wave. She calls them like the antennas that are kind of just here to that energy. Because I always feel like I don't know what I'm doing with myself. Like every day is a different, like, you know, like one day I'm making art, the next day I'm writing poetry, the next day I'm gonna be an energy healer, or I'm gonna be a photographer. It's like I never know what the fuck I'm doing. And then I always make it by. Like I don't pay bills, I don't have a home, I don't like, but I make it by. And I look at these people who like stress out about all that stuff, and I'm like, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just bad. I'm trying to shift away from that, and my friend does theta healing, and she's like, oh, do you want to clear that belief about like, because I wanted to fix my debt, but I don't really want to fix it. It's so much to the point that creator was like, no, she's not ready to clear that belief. And I just laughed, because I'm like, I'm not. Like, even if you can try to heal it away, I'm just not ready to dive into all that. It's not important on my radar right now.
Right.
Well, it's not just that too. This whole debt thing, and I mean, society is changing. I mean, whether people like it or not, and I'm not saying it's going to be next year or even in half a decade. I mean, we're going towards a cashless and more transparent society, and this debt thing is a bunch of bullshit anyway, because money's an illusion. I mean, you know, it's a complete illusion, and it was created, you know, we don't need to get into the fact that it was created by banking systems to control the world. All the resources are here on Earth. We all know that. And I mean, it's just like, you know, pay off my student loans. I got to pay off my student loans. I mean, you know what I mean? People can save that shit if they're going to talk about that. You know, of course, the U.S. is the only one that has it, because we're the only country that doesn't invest in its citizens to go to college. But all this shit, it's phony. It's not even realistic. I mean, if you have all that anyway, chances are you've probably got, you know, the finances to pay off your debt. But these people that are into paying down their debt and all that bullshit, I feel they're so in a 3D box still, and they may be the most brilliant people that you've ever met or in professional, but they have extreme tunnel vision, right? Yeah. And it's not about healing anything with a debt, because it's not like karma or anything. I mean, it's a fake, phony thing. If you're trying to tell me somebody was telling you about healing for a debt, that person, I don't know, but that person, I wouldn't listen to that person for the time of day. I mean, whoever they are. I mean, that's just very ignorant. But other things, healing and clearing, yeah, but this debt thing is a joke. And yeah, it doesn't mean be irresponsible, but that's the direction that the society's heading into. You know, all this clearing, everything that's going on right now, all the crazy shit in the world going on, which really isn't that crazy. It's just, you know, things are changing, people are awakening, not nearly quick enough for my taste, but yeah, you know, debt can suck a big one as far as I'm concerned, and anybody who thinks it's of any importance, unless they're just trying to clear debt so they can create more debt, you know, because the more assets you have, you want to stay in debt, right? You want to stay in debt because it looks good on paper if you're in a big business, but yeah, I wouldn't, that person's got tunnel vision, you know, girl.
Right. Well, and I'm like, I look at things like my friend will be like, oh, I'm really worried about this and that and that. And I'm like, well, I just stopped paying it, because like in 7 years it just disappears and you can start over. Like, and that's how it is here. Like I already did that once. Like I just waited so long. And I'm like, my thing is like, if I don't have the fucking money to pay it, I don't have the money to pay it. Like, what are you going to do to me? You're not going to do anything.
You know, yeah. You don't know whether to slap somebody who says that or laugh your ass off when, you know, you got a friend or somebody saying that kind of thing and stress on it. Like, I kind of at the point where I'm either annoyed with it, or I sit there and wait for the punchline that never comes to see if they're kidding.
And that's how they've kind of like manipulated so many people to be stressed out like that, and to worry, and to like go out and find an investment person, and oh, I gotta go claim bankruptcy and stuff. I'm like, why? They know you don't have any money. You don't have to go tell them. Like, I don't know. It's just that whole concept of debt and all that is, I just I don't have anything
Well,
for it. I don't have energy for it.
we're here to clear the money thing because it seems like we're here to help awaken a lot of this stuff. And when you connect back into the earth, because we're also the bridge between the earth and consciousness, we really communicate really well with the crystals, the animals, the earth, nature. And we're here to kind of tell people, look, it's all there. They're there to help us. We don't need the debt or money or whatever to survive.
Right. Go ahead.
So, yeah, so we're here to heal debt, Larry.
We're here to heal the idea of debt.
Yeah, we are we totally are in an enlightened sense. The problem is though that most people that would say that kind of stuff, they have no clue. We are here to heal the debt. We're here to show that it doesn't matter.
Okay.
All the resources are here on Earth, but it's going to take a lot more people awakening before we get even in the talks to that point. I mean, it's fine in our Starseed community, we talk about this kind of thing, but there's going to be a lot of people pissed off when they realize what we've always known, that all resources are here on Earth and they've been hoarded from us and things of that nature. And, the more people that awaken, the more we can realize that all the resources are there on Earth for every man, woman, and most destitute loser you'd ever known to have all the medicine, food, water, a 3-bedroom house by himself. I mean, these resources are all here on Earth, and we need to start really looking into that. But we need to take care of some 3D issues first. Like, we really need to start really being more concerned about the environment, which we all are, and yada yada. Everybody says that, but nobody does anything about it. It's just there's a lot of clearing going on right now, and it just seems like there's a separation too. Like, Bridget, you were talking about people that are so concerned with paying off their filing for bankruptcy, paying off their debt, right? There's almost like this split. Like, they talk about a split into 5D. It's almost like a mindset. Okay, we're already thinking of that concept, and they're not even anywhere. They wouldn't even understand what you were trying to say, much less not believe you or not. You know what I mean? It's like it would be a foreign language to them. Most of these people, we got to understand, have still never heard of a goddamn Blu-ray or a Pleiadian or a series. I mean, that's just the reality of it. More and more are, but, especially like with the Pleiadians don't come into your consciousness till you're ready to. You could be very, very astute, awakened, listen to Coast to Coast for years, whatever. For some reason, it doesn't fly across your radar until you're ready to, even though there's...
What's happening?
Had this stuff start going on. They never had heard of the Pleiadians before, or any of this.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What the fuck is happening, Bridget?
I am like, it sounds like there's like I don't know, like a neck extending.
I think it's my microphone, guys.
Stop touching it.
It just goes out, and I think I'm going to take it off. Sorry.
It's okay.
I was thinking it was my neck was feeling like it was doing that as I was starting to think about and go off on people.
It could be the outlet on the thing, because what happens is it just cuts out, and I can't even hear you. And I think it's cut. Is it cutting out on the live? I don't know.
I don't know, because I can't hear some of what he says. It's like he'll be saying something, and then if you chime in, everything just goes blank on my end for like probably like 30 seconds.
That's happening for me. Yeah, Larry's cutting out badly. Okay.
That's why that's mute. When somebody else is talking, it's important we're conscious and mute our microphones if we can. If you have that feature to just do that, mute yourself when you're not talking. But it really should sound fine on the replay afterward, from my experience. Of course, I say that, and it probably won't. But yeah, go ahead, guys.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Most people are intuitive. They'll get the gist of what you're saying. I lost my train of thought now. What were we saying? There was something you said, and I was like, oh, and it totally sparked something.
Debt, separation and consciousness of 5D and 3D.
Oh,
You know, we're Blu-rays. We really don't need to talk much, like you said earlier. It's kind of like getting harder and harder to do a show because it's becoming more telepathic. We should do a telepathic show where nobody talks.
that would be awesome. See if people can kill. We'll do like a test. We're like, see what you got out of this conversation. He'll just sit there and be like, what the fuck? But it's true. The Pleiadian stuff, the Blu-ray stuff. Like, I have a lot of friends who are in the spiritual community, and I notice a lot of people ask me questions, question after question after question after question, and they're like, well, how do you know? How do you know? I don't fucking know how I know. I just know. And then they want more answers, and it gets so draining because it's like, why don't you just know? And that's why I love talking to you guys, because you just know. Like, everything I ever think, you just know what I'm saying, and you jive with it and you go with it, and you're right with the Pleiadian stuff. Like, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm like out in my backyard for like hours upon hours, like, oh, what's this? And there's some people who think I'm like insane, and then there's some people who they understand it, but they're not getting those messages. Like, you know when you're getting a message, and you know where it's coming from. Some people don't have that, but they're like, oh, I'm Pleiadian, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe they are. Maybe they have all those characteristics, but there is like a different, like, I remember in the beginning I was listening to channeled messages to get my information. I don't have to do that anymore. It's like the information just comes in on its own. Hello?
Yeah, totally. I was just thinking about what you said because when I first awakened in early 2011, right, and I've told the story, I think, on another show that I was a guest on, but I didn't know any of these Facebook groups, okay? I had my own group. I created the Fringe Thinkers, but I couldn't find any Pleiadian groups on Facebook, even though they were there. It's weird. The search, every 3 months or so I'd look, they would never show up for me at all, period, until about after Thanksgiving in 2013. But I would listen to these. I listened to, of course, the Marciniak's books. I've listened to, whoever the hell's out there, Sheldon Neidl, Anna Merkaba, all the normal ones, Marianne Rada. Yeah, I did listen. He's not a channeler, but I did run across the young Lionel Anderson years before I met him on Facebook. But and Greg Prescott, of course, of in 5D. I mean, those aren't channelings, but those are other sources of information as far as the awakening goes. But yeah, I listen to all the channelings too and resonate with quite a bit of them, mostly the Pleiadian ones. But then I found real quick I was starting to get that same download at the same time. And in fact, there's a channeler, a Pleiadian channeler, I don't know if you're familiar with him, his name's Alger, and Alger 777, and I was getting way and then I'd see his shit on YouTube 2 weeks later. So I was figuring that, him and I were getting the same downloads. I mean, I can go back through most of them from around that time. And, of course, his video he did about the different kinds of UFOs he sees in the sky, the ones cloaked during the day, the subtle ones. It's like I see all that. That's exactly what I see. And I reference that. And the Atlantis Lemuria one that he did, I got that download 2 weeks before he got it. The Pleiadians also, they gave me a download about marijuana, actually, and then I heard somebody channel the same thing a couple weeks later about that we do it from the Pleiades, but it's organic. But their concern was that the government has sprayed it over the last 30 years so bad and altered the DNA of it to where it doesn't really make you giggly and happy as much anymore unless it's organic. It just messes with your nerves, which is true if it's not organic. So yeah, didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but the channelings were like the only thing I had to go by, right? And I would take what resonated with me, and then some people would be like, oh, you can't trust channeling. Well, I don't give a fuck what channeling or says what. If I resonate with part of it, I'll take it. If I don't, the rest. I mean, one page may say 1 + 1 is 2. I believe that, and the next page says 3 + 2 is 7. I mean, I don't. So I mean, and then people would get hung up on the electronic voices with them. You know, I would probably do that too, the electronic voice thing. If you're going to get, that was a real indicator for me right off the bat with people that would talk about why didn't they use their real own voice. Well, if you're going to get stuck on, if the first thing you're going to comment on is why aren't they using their real voice, you're not ready to receive any kind of message at all. I mean, I don't care whether it's a sweet, soothing voice or a creepy lizard voice. If that's the first thing you touch on, you're so not even anywhere near ready to hear it.
Right, and I remember listening to them and Jamie being like, "What the fuck are you listening to?" Because it's like, and I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
But I totally listened to it anyway because there was always, and it didn't matter what date it was from. Like it could be from like 3 years before.
Mm-hmm.
If I listened to it, it related to what was going on in my life that time. And there was one
timeless, and it's funny. Yeah. Yeah, Bridget, sorry to interrupt you, but you said, like, what the fuck are you listening to? Well, I thought that a little bit, but I also had family members and shit that would hear. I was so excited about hearing them. I'd play them when people were around, and I'd had so many different, I mean, my parents were over at times, my kids, my ex-wife, different friends of mine. I'd have it on, and they'd be like, what in the fuck are you listening to?
That's what Jamie would do. He'd be like, what is that? And then, I mean, I didn't care. I left because a lot of times what I'd do is like I'd be drawing or I'd be like cleaning and I'd just leave it on in the background. And I actually used to listen to your talks in the background too. So it's like it didn't bother me, the voice. I mean, it was a little weird, but a lot of people do automatic writing, so maybe they're not comfortable sharing it in their voice, and that's totally fine with me. And I get the gist of what it's saying, even though some of the words are like, you know, a little weird, but you get it. It's a vibration more than the sound itself. You can feel if it's authentic or if it's just somebody's talking out their ass.
Yeah, it really has nothing to do with the voice. You know, it's a total vibration, and they are kind of weird. You know, they'll be, you know, I see the same channeling, two different people doing it, and sometimes I always had this one woman's voice, a computer voice I preferred listening to over this other one that was really, you know, talked really quick, and then there was a lady that did it, and it had a British accent that did it. It was okay, but rarely did I don't think I ever heard a lizard throat-sounding voice doing it. So, you know, I mean...
I love Magenta Pixie. I used to listen to a lot of Magenta Pixie.
Yep.
And her voice is awesome. I could listen, and I love those accents anyway, so I'm like, ooh. I love Sif's voice, too. I'm like, oh, because when you talk to her on text, you don't picture that, and then when you hear her, you're like, oh, this is so cool. But I mean, I do resonate with sounds, but if what's coming through a sound that and I totally agree with that. There was a female one that I preferred over the man one. So if I could find the same channeling with the female version of it, I'd listen to that. Because there was a lot of people like Salusa and somebody else would always have...
Salusa from Sirius. Yes, I am Salusa. The thing with Salusa was saying the same shit over and over again, kind of. I mean... You know, I listen to a lot of Salusa too, but I prefer the Pleiadian ones. But that female voice would be like, you know, we love you so very much, like that. I mean, you know, I imagine we're talking about the same one, probably, maybe not. But that's so funny because I've got to say too, around that same time, I had a telemarketer call one time at night, and it was during one of the elections, and we were talking about the hot button issues, and it was that same fucking voice. You know, an automatic voice.
It's funny, and it is kind of weird, but whatever. I know what you mean with the sped up one. It was like, we are here, they don't like, what are you saying?
You guys are cracking me up.
How did you you get information, Natalie? So did you ever listen to channelings, or did you just kind of have it come in organically?
I just had it come in organically. I've listened to some channelings. Larry, I do find the electronic voice annoying. I find like Bridget is like, we love you. You know? Okay. Because when I channel, it sounds totally different in my head, you know, but yeah, but it shouldn't I probably shouldn't let it stop me from listening. You are right. Just That the actual sound of the electronic just kind of bugs me, basically. But I never thought I channeled, but I figure now, like what Sif said, and when I had Sif here, I think I must channel all the time, and I don't realize it.
Yeah, and I think people channel just to do everyday life things too. Like I feel like I take on different roles throughout the day, like, and I have to mentally prepare for that, and then I get into that zone. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be going to work to do Reiki, okay, in that zone, and I come home and I'm like, okay, I got to deal with normal people again, like, and it's a totally different shift in vibration just walking into this door because nobody here is like has a clue what a Pleiadian or a Blu-ray or anything is. Cleaning, you know, prep. I used to write my meditations before I gave them, and I found that when I actually got to the studio to perform the meditation, I'd end up putting the paper down and everything would change, so I stopped doing that. And I think we all evolve over time with channeling, and it's like someone else has to say to you, hey, do you realize you're channeling? Like, that's how it was for me. I didn't realize I was until someone else told me.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that if you're not channeling, in essence, you're a corpse, actually. I mean, we're starting to just do it consciously, but the way I described it, like channeling, I would look at some people getting their information. Some contactees do it through astral travel, some through a dream state, some through deep meditation, some through what I would call relaxed channeling, but I was always getting it just awakened telepathy from it, and the only other person at the time, which now since more I've heard that I'd ever heard describe it that way, was the guy who wrote Chariots of the Gods, Eric von Däniken, was describing the way that he got his information, and it was just exactly like the way I do, and of course through the colored orbs and blue, you know, the blue beams that I see and stuff, but the pulse tones in the ear, and just kind of come to me, a download, and it's gotten quicker. Like if there's information that I want to know, it comes almost instantly instead of a day later. But when I say that I want to know, there's nothing really that I want to know too much, because they don't deal in timelines, or I can't ask them who the fuck's going to win the Super Bowl next year, because they would tell, if they were going to say anything, they'd tell me all 32 teams will in parallel realities. I mean, you know, it's not like that, but it's just, you know, when your higher self really needs that information, it'll come through.
I like that.
Yeah, it's just that we do evolve, you're right.
I like that awakened telepathy.
Yeah, and that
yeah,
does
constant channeling.
Now I have that song in my head. Not constant, was it cons? I can't, I'm not going to sing.
I was gonna say. I was gonna. Yeah, I was gonna say, as long as you don't get this voice coming through that goes, "This is the Ashtar command," or something like that, you know.
Right. Like, I was trying to explain it to someone last night, because it's like, it's just information that comes into your head. It's not like an outside thing that I get. It's not like, hello, or, you know, anything weird. It's just my thoughts that I know are not my thoughts. Okay.
That was weird. I don't know why it repeated.
Exactly. It's just
it's because we're Blu-rays. There's too many Blu-rays on.
Exactly. I was going to say, yes, it's just, you know, information that's coming to you. It's not the devil. You're not lucky enough to have, you know, communication with the one and only devil. People, relax. It's higher self information, you know what I mean? But some people say, well, how do you know what it is, or who it is, or what the fuck it is? Well, who the fuck cares?
As long as it's not hurting you, what do you care?
Well, I would be more paranoid. I would say, I know what you mean, Larry, but you must have strong protection already. And you know the whole thing that if you have a fear, then you do need protection because you have the fear. And if you don't have fear, then you don't need the protection. So I have the fear, so I know I need to protect myself when I do channeling, or what if I do it like, oh, I'm going to channel. Maybe I don't, because I think if I channel, actually, I take all that back. Wrong! Because if I'm channeling all the time, I just do take the information in. Yeah.
She just got a new download of information right there.
Yeah, you do. You're channeling all the time, and it's coming from whoever.
But I do agree with what you're saying, because we do create our own reality. So if you go into something and you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna go channel right now, ground, call on support, help, do whatever little thing you do that makes you feel like you're protected, and then you're in a better state, because your consciousness, like if you go into that thinking, oh, what if the devil comes through, you're gonna fucking bring through the devil your idea of what it is. And it probably isn't that, but you're going to do a mind fuck to yourself. So
exactly.
I don't have that issue myself, but I know there are people, and that's the thing, all of us we're on a different level where we don't worry about that stuff or think about, but there are people out there who do. So I don't want to give any information to those people to be like, yeah, go ahead, you're perfectly fine. In meantime, in their subconscious, they're freaking out, and they're going to make something that they shouldn't.
Exactly. So, like, if the fear is there, if you have a worry, put the protection up. If you have no worries, you don't need it then. That's the sign, that's the signal. Celestine prophecy stuff, huh?
And if you have a freaking fear, just leave it to someone else.
Yeah, just say, this is Salusa from Sirius. Drop toe, we have returned. No, I'm kidding. That needs to be right.
Oh, I love your roboto voice.
I like the Bringers of the Dawn voice. I like that. And I find at different times I listen to that, and then later on, like when I'm doing stuff, that recording, you know how songs play in your head, that voice will play in my head different information that is needed at that time. And then, it's just like one or two words, and I'm like, oh, shit, that's what we're talking about. Okay. And then I go into it, but I've never had anything, like, crazy creepy come in. But it's like the same thing with songs. Like, you say a certain word, and I'm, like, singing a song in my head.
Hey, is that a Blu-ray trait?
I don't know.
I think so. I think we just found a new trait, because, Larry, you do that too. You'll sing songs as comments or make song comments, and
yeah,
I did song in my head.
We have like information stored in there in certain ways that has to come out through a different way. We're like, Rrr.
Well, I think so. Well, actually, in a way, it's kind of connected. It must be with the Blu-ray, because they say that we really respond to music, sound, that kind of stuff, dance. Do you guys dance around a lot? Because I do.
Yeah. I do like the most stupid things in here, and even when I was a kid, like, I swear to God, I invented twerking, just so you all know.
Oh, that's funny.
I had a pair of short shorts and a tank top, and I used to run out into my mom's living room and get in front of the TV and just shake my ass at them, and then I just run away and go back to my room.
Blu-ray alert! Blu-ray alert!
But it's like you get this like energy surge, and you just have to kind of let it out.
Yeah.
And I do, and I'm like, and I do it to everybody. I don't have that fear of looking like a crazy person. Like, it just comes out, and people look at me, and they're like, what is wrong with you? You need to tone it down. And I'm like, why?
Yeah. Actually, toning it down, that was something that I had a lot of shame as a Blu-ray, because I'm very loud and would be very gregarious, loud, laughing loud, everything loud, and I had a lot of shaming for people that, it's like, tone it down, oh, you're too much, and it's just like, well, I think we're powerhouses, because we are connected to the earth, and we're like, yeah, but there's all this amazing energy there, don't you feel it?
Right, and I think Larry's that way, because I've seen him, he'll come into a chat and the whole vibration changes, or if even his comments, it always makes you laugh. It's like they're comedians of the rays.
Yeah, and isn't that serious?
The thing is, too, like what Bridget was saying, we may be all Blu-rays, but like Bridget has that Pleiadian. I can totally vibe what she's saying, the weirdness. I mean, her and I both have that Pleiadian Blu-ray, both weirdness to it. It's hard to explain, but I was just listening to you know, her explaining the way she was explaining, doing that in front of the TV, or just having to get that energy out and act like a weirdo. I mean, just random weird shit like that. It's little things like that that you pick up on those Pleiadian energies with people too.
Definitely. That's how I know when someone else is like I feel that that haha, like you just know that they're a wise ass, and that they're like my first native tongue is freaking sarcasm. Like we just don't let real shit get to us. Like there's nothing here that's like, oh, like I always have a joke in the back of my head for stuff. Even when people are like, I'm like, I'm just in my mind, I'm cheering myself up because I don't want to go to that low.
What's the song
What song?
that you have in your mind? You said.
Oh no, I don't I don't have a song like if something's going on and like someone is telling me like what is going on in their life and why they're upset. In the back of my head, I have like a sarcastic remark going on about it because I'm not taking it too seriously. Like, and I don't mean, and I never like. Sometimes I'll say it out loud. It depends on what's going on, but a lot of times I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just inappropriate in my own mind, but it keeps me from being sucked down into that low vibration of like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I am sorry for you, but I have to keep myself from going to that depth because I don't want to take your stuff on. I don't know if that makes sense.
And Blu-rays are highly empathic, and we have a lot of body issues actually because we take on so much energy from our surroundings.
Right, and that's like if I'm around somebody who's like Jamie will come home, he's all depressed, he sits there and he's sad, and I'm like, what's the matter? Nothing. And I'm like, fuck you, I know there's something wrong. And I really don't care because I know it's going to just be like this drawn out like, everything sucks, and fucking life sucks. But you, like, out of fucking decent human being, you gotta be like, okay, well, why does it suck today? Is it the same stuff that sucked yesterday? Why don't you change it?
Oh gosh, yeah.
But I have compassion for it too because I've been there. But now I have that knowledge. Like, you create your own fucking reality. So if you're gonna come in here and be miserable about everything and not do anything about it, I don't want to hear it every day of the week. Like, change it.
Absolutely, absolutely. My environment, my home is my nest. I think, I don't know, I've never read that on a Blu-ray site, but I think not. Obviously, everyone needs to have a nice home, but I actually think for Blu-rays, we need order in our homes to really function right. Now, I don't know. What do you guys think of that? Do you feel that's right?
I do. I don't know about Larry, but if I'm going to be doing, like today before the chat was starting, I had to vacuum and clean and get things just right. And all my stuff is like, you know, I'm very organized. Like, my whole calendar is filled out. Like, I know what's coming up. I have to know ahead of time or it's just too much.
Yeah, I think it's like that we're so affected by our environment. We're so intricately connected to it that, you know, the dirt or if it's untidy, it's like our head, our thinking gets untidy. I'm the same. I clean my space before the talk, too. Hey, Blu-ray.
That's weird. I differ there because I do, like, if I'm with some, like when Sis was here, or like when I'm with, okay, somebody's coming over, something like that, yes, totally. If not, I really don't give too much of a shit, really. I'll just sit around my sweats and let a fucking couple beer cans pile up and smoke inside, not answer the phone when it's ringing right now. You know, so yeah, maybe that's a gender thing there, but I do agree with the planning thing. I have to know what the fuck's going on, or I stress out. I mean, I gotta know and all that shit. So yeah, I vibe with that, but I may be a little less organized in a way. I don't know, Sif. Maybe Sif could probably vouch for that, but we won't go into how great of an organizer I am.
Well, that's why you have her to help you. Keep you on track.
Okay, I have a question. Blu-rays, I have a question. What do you think, like, if you had to say in a few sentences what your mission is right now? Because I know we have a lot of missions, and our missions change as codes are activated in our DNA. What mission do you think is a Blu-ray that you have right now? So, Bridget.
Of course.
Sorry.
I'm like, I'll just copy Larry's. I don't know. It's
boldly
funny.
go where no man has gone before. No.
Right? Well, it's I think it changes like minute to minute. Like everything's always expanding and changing, and you never know what's going to come up. Like you might get a message from someone that someone passed away, and at that particular moment, it's your mission to transmute that feeling that they're going through or be of assistance to them. And then the next moment, it might be that you have to go do a chat to kind of share information. I'd say my overall mission is to help as many other people as possible to awaken to a new, including myself, because I have a friggin' hell of a long way away from having all conscious knowing of why, where, what. I mean, we wouldn't be having these chats if we had all the answers, but that's basically what it is. It's just to share what we know and to help as many as possible.
Yeah. I think I do see myself as a transformer and an energy transformer, and I want to help as many people too as possible with transforming their energy.
Not like the cartoon Transformers, right? No, I agree with you totally. I agree with what Bridget was saying. Yeah, I agree with Bridget. And I think the thing with the Blu-ray thing, like with all of us, is that we are kind of just like a transformer, right? We're like an antenna. So it's kind of just to be and do kind of, it's hard to put into words, at least any words that anybody outside of, our realm would think, wouldn't think we were fucking nuts to describe. Just to help people be there, but work on ourselves too. Blu-rays have a lot of healing to do on themselves, right? And they really don't start coming into that till they're about in their 30s or, per se. I mean, so I don't know. Of course, I could just be making this shit up by some false channeling coming into my mind right now, too. But that's just kind of the way I see it.
I agree, because I don't think that, I think within the past year, I mean, I'm 31 now, it started when I was I don't know, 27 or something, but not until just recently was I able to work on myself a lot. I spent a long time absorbing tons of information and not really doing anything with it, and now I'm out there, and I think we heal ourselves by healing others. We get more out of it by helping others.
Yeah.
It brings your vibration up when someone's like, oh my God, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. No one better to do it than Blu-rays, huh?
Yeah, because we're the best.
Yes, Bridget. Yeah, we are the best. My computer was flaking out, so I didn't hear a thing Bridget said until the last of it there. But yeah, whatever she said, I'm sure that I definitely agree with it and resonate with it 100%. One thing, ladies, that it brings to mind too, and I think I've talked about this with Sif. I might have even talked with this to Natalie on a show before, but what's really weird is we talked about, like Bridget being different when you're growing up and whatnot, and then about puberty, you start changing a little bit, but it's almost like it's not so different that you know exactly what the fuck hey, I'm a complete fucking outcast and I just know it, or I'm a troublemaker. It's something you can't quite put your finger on. It's almost more annoying than being a complete outcast, because I had a ton of friends, but I had them from people from all cliques and different gangs that I grew up around, and athletes, jocks, gangbangers, all liked me per se. And it's the energy that they're drawn to. But then your family, they think a lot of you and expect a lot of you too. But then there's something weird about you they can't put their finger on. So sometimes, I would not know what the fuck is that all about, and I would manifest in my mind that I might be a black sheep of the family. You know, make them think maybe I was more of that than, you know, somebody that could be successful. Or maybe it was all in my, and probably the thing is most of it was all in my head too, but because what I was getting back from them was just energy my antenna was giving off, and not having a fucking clue what the hell or what was. I mean, I didn't grow up with anybody else that was awake. Well, my best friend I grew up with, he is, but you know, we weren't into this stuff. I mean, there was no internet. We had 10 channels on our cable system until the early 90s when I graduated from high school. That was it. That was our only communication out of this, you know, small city I lived in, was MTV and a few networks. That was it. And so there was, you know, there wasn't this medium that we have now. There wasn't this acknowledged awakening that we have now, you know. I mean, you know, Coast to Coast Radio came on about the late 80s, early 90s, and I'd catch that once in a while. But, you know, I really wasn't into it too much because I was really into politics back then. You know, a big Democratic liberal campaigner, and even as before I was an adult, I was into doing that. And you know, those kind of issues, social issues, things like that. So, you know, it's just been a really wild ride. And so what all this shit I've said has to do with anything, I don't know. It was just the Pleiadian and me going all over the fucking board, taking an hour to say one thing.
Blu-rays, because Blu-rays are focused on like power issues, equality, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I think Blu-rays are very political.
I agree with everything Larry said, though, and it does make sense to on the topic of Blu-rays. Like, growing up, I had like a huge identity crisis. Like, I didn't know if I was a goth or a preppy kid or whatever. Like, I remember making my mom go out and buy me like Jinko skating pants one week, and then the next week I was like buying plaid skirts with, you know, the freaking preppy tops. And I was friendly with everybody, like nobody, like this was in high school, I was friendly with everybody, but I didn't have like a clique that I like stuck to. And then growing up later on, like I kind of adapted my own style, and it was the same thing with your family. Like, you were accepted by everybody but your friggin' family. Like, I always felt like the black sheep. My mom and my dad got remarried, and they both had 2 kids. So, like, they had these little families going on, and I was always, like, bouncing back and forth between both. I didn't even have, like, a real bedroom at my dad's house. And at my mom's house, it was, like, my bedroom was my sanctuary. So I totally resonate with that information you're sharing, because I think that's what a lot of us went through, is, like, an identity crisis of sorts until we were able to connect with others.
Right, Bridget, totally. Yeah, and in different scenarios. I mean, I was an only child. Okay, I was an only child, and I lived with my dad on the weekends. I lived with my mom was single. She worked nights, so I mean, I kind of had the house to myself. And from 14 to 18, it was party time at my house with everybody there, and really no rules. But you know, I felt alone a lot of the time, even though I had a lot of people around me. And the thing with the cliques, I'm probably the only kid that could have got away with when I was 16. I mean, I might have the quarterback of the football team, or the student president, council president, or some goth kid in the car at different times selling them a bag of pot. I mean, I'm the only one that could get away with, you know, selling a bag of dope to both a blood and a crip at different times. So I had that energy where they all could resonate with me and like me. But yeah, it's just that family pressure too, right? And the thing is too, and then they would throw in little digs like, God, you're just so, you know, we were like this, but you know, my grandparents would be like that. You're smarter than the rest of your cousins, but yet they were harder on me and were more suspicious of me. It was weird. It's like they kept expecting, maybe because of my energy, for me to, I don't know, I think they were waiting for me to either become a fucking complete destitute loser or become a fucking CEO of a bank at 18. I was like, they either wanted one or the other to happen, and I was just kind of like, you know, I'm just me, and it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I felt the same way. It was like you're pushed in 2 separate directions at once. it's like, yeah, we want you to do your best and and then like, but they expect the worst at the same time. But they know you have all the potential in the world and you don't use it.
Yeah, it's like being sandwiched without any of the pleasure of it. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, like what the hell's wrong? I think a lot of it is we put pressure on ourselves because we knew, like we had the capabilities to do certain things, but we were also against in resistance to what they consider being successful. Like, I consider myself successful every day in the job that I do now, and I love it, and I would not want to be a friggin' CEO of, or a millionaire of something, because you're going to be a total friggin' douche nozzle if that's what you are. Like, you don't have any. I'd rather kind of live a humble life and help other people than be like this big successful thing that they think is successful, because they don't have a concept.
I totally agree with you. And the thing about being pushed in two separate ways, we do have great potential, but we're using it to heal the earth and awaken humanity, not become something big in the 3D world.
Exactly.
Yeah, Natalie, I wish you would have been around. You could have told Bridget's parents that, my parents that, and my grandparents that yes, we're using it to heal the world like that. Yeah, that. Yes, I should. Why didn't I think of that? I should have told them that 25 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm here to heal the earth. Come on, people.
Leave me alone. I don't want to do that. I'm here to heal the earth. That's the biggest job there is, though. We laugh about it, but it's a big fucking thing to do. Is to take that role on, because you're not gonna be like. It is a hard traveled path. Like, it's not gonna be easy. You're not gonna skate down this. People are gonna think you're friggin' insane, or they're gonna love you. And I think we're always in that sandwich of, you're a friggin' weirdo, or, oh my god, you're so awesome.
Yes.
It's true. It's a hard knock life for us. Instead of kisses, we get kicked. Instead of treated, we get tricked. It's definitely a hard knock life path for sure.
Yeah. Do you guys know your life path numbers by any chance? The numerology?
It just based on my birthday, I'm a 3. I'm born on the 30th, and if you add up the days of my birthday, I'm a life path 3.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it means. I just like to know.
I was going to say, yeah. What do you think of that? I know that what I read about life path 3, it was very much me. So I am a 3. Whatever it was.
I have no idea. It was cutting out. I thought maybe for a second Bridget was flipping into a YouTube channeling mode because it was like cutting out really bad. But I'm not sure. I really vibe with the number 23 everywhere I look and go. 123 especially, but every number with the number 23 and the number 23 by itself. Of course, I was born on August 1st, 1975. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I'm a life path 9, so it's the same thing that Natalie said. Like, everything that I read about it resonated, but it's kind of the same thing as like astrology. It's those things. I think they just like kind of like formatted to make you be like, oh, it's me, no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, if you talk yourself into it, you can believe in all those ologies.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
that's funny you say that, because I'll look into it, and I'm sure whatever it is, I'll resonate with it, or talk myself into it.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Because they're never gonna be like, you're a total asshole and nobody likes you. Like, they're always like, you're well liked by many. Oh yeah, I guess so. Like.
Yeah, it never
that's so Bridget.
You're loud and talk too much.
That's funny. Bridget would say that just now, because another thing too, when I was listening to the show, a playback last night, I remember, Bridget, you were talking about that you don't mind having a phone call with somebody to help them out for an hour, but you're not going to constantly give away readings to them for free, right? And I got to thinking after that. Just on a side note, I was thinking, Yeah, you know, and there's a lot of people that I've seen do readings and stuff like that, and people getting them from people they don't even really know. And I'm thinking to myself, but I wonder if anybody's ever got a reading that says you're a complete douchebag, you're a loser, I see nothing but fucking terror.
Well, do you know what? Like you're laughing and joking, but I have seen readers, heard stories of readers that have told people nasty stuff. So it does happen.
When I do readings, I try to keep it real with them. Like if I see something that's not necessarily good or that is, you know, not the outcome that they expect or whatnot, I put it to them like, you know, what I see, but I also say, like, just because I see this does not mean that this is going to happen. Now that you have this knowledge, you have the ability to either speed up this timeline, slow it down, or completely change your own stuff. Like, people have told me, oh, you're going to be breaking up and you're going to be on your own and I'll be here for you when you need it. And giving me that knowledge was able to, you know, self-prepare and kind of change that timeline or change that destination.
Nothing is written in stone, and I say the exact same thing. It's kind of funny, Bridget. I say that exact same thing to people, or I also add, this is what I'm picking up in this now moment.
Right. Because it can change overnight. I mean, you give someone information, they're the creator of their own reality. They can choose to allow that to come to fruition, or they can choose to change that path. And I try to tell everybody about the power of attraction, how to stop allowing things that are going on in their life to continue to control them. And, you know, like if they're worried about finding a boyfriend or girl, I mean, a lot of times you get readings that are kind of like trivial, like really, but it's usually pretty much the same message you're given to these people. It's like, well, if that's what you want to attract, love yourself the way that you would expect them to love you. You know, write down affirmations, say affirmations. Stop thinking that you're never going to meet someone, because you're not going to meet someone if you put that vibration out there. Exactly. Start attracting that right person to you, and you'll be fine. It's basically you're giving teachings. I always give people homework with readings.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, it gives them a guide. I mean, parallel realities change, right? I mean, they should consider it a blessing if maybe it doesn't look, you know, necessarily in their favor, a reading that you give them. I mean, that's their opportunity to get a hold of it and, you know, be aware of it and make some alterations. I mean, they can't just sit there and say, oh, well, shit, I'm doomed. That'd be like these religious people that, okay, well, the book of the Revelation says this, so the whole planet's going to go to war in the Middle East with Israel, and fuck, it's doomed anyway, so there's nothing we can do about it to try to awaken people or to get the younger generations to get along. We were just going to fall in lockstep. I mean, you know what I mean? It's, yeah, exactly. They should consider it a blessing, actually, if anything, if they get a reading like that, because it's an opportunity to change the next now second.
And, you know, we're planting these seeds with every thought, and this goes back to what the Lemurian guide said to you, Bridget.
Yes.
We're planting the seeds with every thought, and when you do a reading, or Bridget, or whoever, you're reading the energy of what's already been seeded and grown, usually.
Right, and what he had said was, no matter what thought you think, you're creating that. So that exists somewhere in the universe, somewhere, whether it's in this dimension, another dimension, on this part of our galaxy, or a billion galaxies away. What you just thought is created. So stop creating the fucking bad shit and start creating, you know, a place where you'd want to be, a place that you see yourself achieving, and then allowing us to all kind of reach an ascension together, or get back to a good spot where we once were. There's so much duality, there's so much fear, there's so much negativity in this world already. Like, stop focusing on it. And you're not gonna die per se. I mean, like, if you got like you see these people who get cancer, or they get like a disease or something. Some of them fight it and they win, and some come to it. And I've noticed the people who fight it and win are the ones that have the best mentality about it. Like, my mother had a 99% chance she was going to pass away. Neither one of us ever accepted that. We didn't think she was going to die. She knew she wasn't going to die. Doctors kept telling her, chances are really bad. she didn't allow that thought in her brain, so she survived it.
Yeah.
I think everybody has their own power to change what's going on in their life. And that's when you have the people who are like, oh, I had a spiritual awakening, because they overcome something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Well, it's getting kind of late.
Yeah, it's getting kind of late. Hey, I just want to ask real quick. I got a real spiritual crisis right now. I lost my lighter. I can't find my lighter right now.
Oh my God.
No.
It's to the left, Larry. It's to the left of your chair.
To the left. Oh, shit. It was actually to the right of the chair. Wow, okay. Well, my other left.
Left dyslexic.
On the hard drive.
So
Yeah.
You changed your timeline.
See? I did.
It was a parallel universe.
The
opposite.
Yeah, I'm getting tired.
Totally.
So, shall we wrap up this Blu-ray chat, guys?
Sure.
Yep.
All right, so Natalie, tell everybody where you can be found.
Okay, you can find me at aleahealingservices.com. I'm also on Facebook at Starseed Shaman, and just started a new page, The Ascending Starseed. Excuse me, where we will be having continuing these chats on there. And yeah, looking forward to connecting with whoever wants to connect with me.
Awesome. And Larry, do you want to give out some information so people can stalk you?
Yes, I would love to. Yes. Let me think of my innermost secrets. No. I would also like to remind, before I get into that, I'll go in reverse, remind everybody that coming up soon at a date to be determined, we will redo the show, Lionel Anderson, Victoria Pleiadian, and myself, that we had scheduled last night. But people can find me everywhere and anywhere, but nowhere at all, and all points in between, Avalon, Babylon, Nirvana, Earth, everywhere, in this never beginning nor ending now moment of all that is, was, and ever will be, and back and forth again, and all at the same time, and a lot of the Facebook Pleiadian groups and pages, and on YouTube and Google Plus, Being Express Productions.
That's it? That's all you've got?
That's it. That's it. I'm tapped out.
Okay. And you can find me at my Facebook page, Bridget Rao. BeCreativelyYou.com is our page for that, and my website. And I also admin the Ascending Starseeds page with Natalie, and my own Divine Essentials New Paradigm Healing. And I just want to say thank you both for this wonderful conversation, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, it was Blu-ray fantastic.
In another now moment. A big cosmic dating game kiss for everybody out there. Mwah.
Mwah.
Mwah. Goodbye.
Bye.